Hey everybody, my name is Heist Games. This is just a quick little kind of update video for you guys. Basically, this is just a little talking about what the heck's going on with Batman Arkham Knight, why there's no video posted today, and where the heck Arkham Knight is, and what's happening in this video. So first off, I'm going to explain the whole situation, what's going on. Where's Batman Arkham Knight on this channel? When is it ever going to happen? Will it ever hit this channel? And second off, I'll answer the question of, I guess, supposedly um, basically, the whole situation that's going on with the Batman Arkham Knight and why this is terrible, and this is a disaster, and this is probably the worst launch I've ever seen in a video game in my lifetime. But anyway, so let's get to the easy stuff here. So first off, I put some just some crappy Battlefield stuff in the backgrounds for you guys, so you guys don't get bored. If worst comes to worst, and you hate hearing my voice and you disagree with everything I say, which you probably won't, but if you do, just mute it and you can watch the Battlefield content. Basically, I don't own Battlefield 4. I don't really own any video games, hardly, that are multiplayer shooters. I'm more a single-player kind of gamer, but I own Battlefield 3, so that's what I put on here. It's like the newest game I have. So I have that on here for you guys, just a little content for you to watch. So anyway, let's get to the stuff that you guys really want to see. So where the heck is Batman Arkham Knight on the Heist Games channel? And the long story of the thing is I did purchase the game. I got it actually online from CD Keys, which if you're getting a game that's come out already, I highly recommend them. They're very cheap and very well, and this is not, they're not promoting them in any way. They're not paying me for anything. I'm just telling you that off the top of my head. If you want to go there, they're a great place. But regardless, I bought Batman Arkham Knight pre-order, so I got that, and I purchased it. I got it for like $20, which this is a steal if I didn't know the game was in the States in. And so I got it, and basically the day that the game came out, which was yesterday, so I clicked it, and so I was in Steam, and it was like, hey, Batman Arkham Knight's available. So I'm like, cool. So I clicked on the page, and it's had mostly negative reviews, and I was like, well, what the heck is going on here? Why would this have negative reviews? I went into the reviews, the Steam reviews, which actually, in my opinion, are probably more informative than probably most retailers are, and like IGN them. I know they give you reviews, but they are so not even good anymore. I don't even trust IGN and all those companies anymore. You might as well. I use Steam reviews. They're almost more trustworthy. But regardless, all of them are talking about terrible frame rates, the game not running correctly, stuff like that. So I checked in to just kind of search, on Google and on the internet, talking about Batman Arkham Knight, what the heck's going on, and basically everyone's saying that it runs like garbage, and it doesn't run. It was surprising, the stories. Some people were talking about, like, they're running like 970s, and the game wasn't running on low settings, and basically that going on. So basically, I tried out the game on my computer just to make sure. I thought, maybe some other things won't work. Some other people were talking about, if you get older drivers, it works better than the Batman ones that are actually happening. So I loaded the game up with my old drivers from Grand Theft Auto, put them in, and the game ran awful, quite to be honest with you. The game runs at 1080p, gets about 15 frames per second, and I have a pretty modern graphics card. I have a 760 in my machine. It's kind of old, pretty good graphics card, and pretty much any other game except for this can run it pretty easily. And that's the thing that's surprising to me, is I can run this game, in any settings, pretty much any game I want to, at about 1080p, easily in medium to high settings. And this game does not run at all. It's running about 20 frames per second. So I went back, I checked things around, went around to the FPS, and I updated the drivers, all the stuff that you're supposed to do, and the game didn't run any better on the new drivers than they did on the old drivers. They're both still about 15 frames per second on average, no change at all. So basically, the short answer to your question, where the heck is Batman Arkham Knight, is that it's suspended, and I don't know how long it's going to be. And the reason why I don't know how long it's going to be is going to go in more detail here. I know I've told you some stuff already, but I'm going to go into detail. Basically, an explanation of what the heck is going on. Most people really haven't explained very well what the heck is going on, so I'm going to basically, in short words, go on a rant here probably about what's going on and why it makes me and pretty much any PC gamer so mad. This is probably, as I said, probably one of the worst things that's ever happened in terms of a launch, and a biffed launch, and a launch that is full of lies, deception, and abuse of gamers, PC gamers, particularly in this situation. So, basically, in short terms, Arkham Knight is not going to be on this channel for a long time, or at least not anytime soon. So basically, if you're wondering where the schedule is going, we're going to stay on the normal schedule we're at now. So nothing's going to change. The Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to go back to that. We're going to keep on that until we can get this game actually working, because things just aren't going well right now. This is kind of a disaster of a game right now. Batman Arkham Knight is not in any state to be played by any gamer. And really, the only people who can even play the game, even at decent settings, are people who play who have like beast machines with like Titan X's in them. Even those can't even run the game at 60 frames per second. So now let's go in the main thing. This is the problem. Basically, NVIDIA and short terms, NVIDIA and Rocksteady lied to everybody about pretty much everything in the game possible that you could lie about. Basically, Rocksteady's not really had good launches on PC in general, ever. Batman Arkham Asylum had some crashes. Arkham City never really got a good launch. But a lot of people, including myself, believe that on PC, things would get better on the third launch. Rocksteady would get it right, and things would be fixed. And just to say, boy, how wrong were we? We were way wrong. This is probably the worst launch. This is worse than Unity. This is probably the worst launch I've ever seen. This, in terms of how well the game plays, the response by developers, Rocksteady and Warner Bros. Themselves, everything else. So Warner Bros. Themselves do not have a good reputation. They've had some really biffed games recently anyway. They've had some games that have just not gone well. They've had some biff things. But the thing is what makes me and all the PC gamers irritated is the response they gave us. So essentially, after everything going on, I'll go into my story. My story basically is I bought the game on Sunday, downloaded it. It was 37 gigs, which in today's day and age, that's not that big for a PC game, especially since you're downloading the whole game. Basically, download it. Obviously, as I told you, it doesn't run well. I launched it. Things I guess ran okay, I guess, if you want to call it that. The game ran like garbage. It still doesn't run well, but I think the more irritating thing is just the way Warner Brothers and Rocksteady and everyone in the video, all of them set this up, and the way it's just so irritating. So first off, let's start with the first thing that makes me irritate the most is 30 FPS cap. Now, this is normally, if you're a console gamer, this is what you play at. This is not a problem. But you're on a PC here. You're talking about a PC community. And PC gamers, including myself, do not normally play games at 30 frames a second. I only play 30 frames when I'm recording for my channel because that's, to me, where I can get the best mix of the quality of the video and the best high action at the same time. So for me, 1080p 30 FPS is pretty good in pretty much all new games. But if you're any big YouTuber that plays PC games, you play 1080p 60. 30 frames for a PC is about 2007 era. So to cap a game at 30 is just, first off, it's flat out lazy. Second off, it's just ridiculous that they even decide to cap this game at 30, and that shows you how poorly developed this game was. Second off, Rocksteady didn't. First off, Rocksteady didn't tell us who the developers was. So Rocksteady actually wasn't the one developing this game. They developed the PS4 port, they developed the Xbox One port, but they didn't do the PC port. The PC port was actually a 12-man part of Iron Galaxy Studios. Now, if you actually go into Iron Galaxy Studios, which I actually did some research on their studio, that most of their games they're not Windows games. Most of their games were PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. The only really well-known game they've done that's been on PC was they worked partially on the BioShock Infinite ports, which I will give them credit. BioShock Infinite was a good game, and it ran well on the PCs. But obviously, besides that, they didn't really do a lot of PC ports. They pretty much were all Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and even mobile, for that matter. So basically, you're giving a unexperienced mobile developer who's never really developed on a PC platform, period, the opportunity to do that. That's just number one error right there. And number two, you're giving them only 12 men to do it. Now, if you're anyone who actually knows a little bit about gaming, which I do myself, I've attempted sometimes to develop games. Is that when you're playing games, you do not 12 people, particularly on a huge game like Batman Arkham Knight, is way too small. You need to have like a 50-man team doing that, and 12 men, giving them that expectation to make that game is just absolutely ridiculous in itself. To give 12 men and tell them, hey, you got to make this huge open world game with a Batmobile, and you got to run it on pretty much every computer you can think of. That is absolutely ridiculous in its own right, and so that's why, in a way, I don't really blame the actual people who made the game, but I do blame Rocksteady and Iron Galaxy. What in your right mind makes you think that 12 men can do this to make a whole open world game and publish it correctly? And that's the most ridiculous thing about this all, is that the expectation they thought that many people could actually do that. Because I'm telling you right now, no one, 12 men, and even at Rockstar, I don't think 12 men could make a great ported game on PC. I just think that's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's just ridiculous that they even thought that was even possible in itself. So basically, the reason that a small studio that wasn't even really a PC gaming studio in the first place, the one making this, is a disaster in itself. So basically, if in short terms, Rocksteady thought that basically that this whole game in itself, basically was a almost in a way essentially a trash. It was basically like the third wheel port, which is ridiculous because if you're any PC gamer and you watch and you look at games, PC gaming should be the definitive platform. PC gaming itself is you can pretty much put any spec you want. You can pretty much put anything you want in your computer, and so a high-end Titan should easily be able to overachieve what a PlayStation 4, Xbox One can achieve because of the fact that the graphics card is so much more powerful in itself, and the processor and everything in the components of your computer is very superior to a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which in themselves are probably 2011 mid-range gaming PCs. So that's just ridiculous. And so basically, they paid a third wheel studio to make a game that's supposed to run on these kind of computers. It's just not realistic, and I don't understand what they thought in their right mind how that was going to work in the first place, because that just wasn't a good idea at all. Next thing, moving on. Basically, this is what I really want to talk about, is basically the line deception by Rocksteady. So I already talked about the big thing that made me mad, which was I guess you want to say, the main thing that made me peed off was obviously what you saw when they put a small studio to do this job, which obviously I don't think they could achieve, because they obviously aren't really experienced in it, but let alone 12 men and any experienced dude to make a game like this. But also, the main thing that is ridiculous is just the way they set this game up. So, the way the deception and the lies are in this game. So, and one of them, and NVIDIA was the one involved in this, which makes me more surprised, but even though I feel like now I shouldn't be. NVIDIA's been kind of lying on for years, but this was really bad. So, it's going to be rad PR for them. But anyway, so if you didn't know, 2 weeks ago, before this game came out, NVIDIA put a fancy video on YouTube talking about rain effects, ambient occlusion, how you can run Batman Arkham Knight at 1080p, 60 frames per second, all these great things that pretty much any PC gamer would like, but they don't really care about. I mean, obviously, GameWorks isn't a thing that if you really have a crappy PC, you don't really need it. They're nice, they make the game look prettier, but they're not absolutely required. But then again, why are these things not here? Particularly when you look at articles, I try to put some articles in the description if I can, but there's an article that shows that the PlayStation 4 has rain ambient occlusion and rain effects, and the PC version doesn't. Now that doesn't make any goddamn sense at all. I mean, it's one thing if the PlayStation 4 version didn't have it, or the Xbox One version didn't have it, because those technically are not superior to a PC. Anyone can tell you that. Anyone who owns a PlayStation 4 can tell you that a PC is more powerful. They may not prefer that it's a game, but it's more powerful than a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And that's what's ridiculous, that somehow they thought that it was okay to remove everything, all the optimization, the thing that makes PC gaming king, and instead basically remove all of it. And somehow they thought that was going to make it look better. That's what confuses and makes me mad, is why don't we just remove everything that makes PC gaming the way it is? Let's make the graphics look completely garbage, that look worse than a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, even though they shouldn't. Let's put this 12-man development team on it, and then let's lie about it and say, oh yeah, we can run at 1080p 60 frames per second. We just tweak the INI files that you're technically not supposed to access. So let's just do that. Yeah, real smart. And that's the thing. That's why in all this, that's just ridiculous. And another thing, okay, so let's move on. So the two things is the NVIDIA's claims that completely are false, and none of the things that they even talk about even exist in the game. The 1080p 60 frames per second, nope, it's 30 FPS cap. And then basically everything else. All of the deception there, it's just ridiculous. And then the development team, that they didn't tell anybody about this, that, that's a 12-man development team, it's a different team developing the game. Even if you told someone that, someone would know, maybe I should go buy on a PlayStation 4. They'd still buy the game. Batman Arkham Knight is still a great game. It's just the terrible PR by Warner Bros. Is going to kill them. So the last thing here I want to talk about is basically Rocksteady's response to this. And this is almost hilariously awful the PR team, whoever is on the PR team is going to get fired tomorrow, I can guarantee you, because this is just completely awful. So basically, as soon as this came out, Warner Brothers sent a thing saying, the PC gamers, we hear you. And it's short and short, even though they did write kind of like a letter. I'm just not going to read it all to you. But in short and short, it basically said, we hear that you're having complaints. We're going to fix them as soon as possible. We hear that games aren't running correctly. We'll get to fix them as soon as possible. We're going to release a patch, which, obviously you're not going to leave the game as it is. It's completely broken. It does not run. And then later that night, about, I think the post was like 11 o'clock at night Central Standard Time. So about midnight Eastern Time. So when most people are asleep, they release a post. And this post talks about the minimum requirements of the game. And basically the requirements, and saying that, so basically in short term they say, some people are having problems with our game. And here are the minimum requirements, what you need to run. Here's the optimum and the ultra. Now first off, this doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anybody at all. The game isn't running. The last thing we don't need is to tell you, here's the minimum requirements. The minimum requirements are already on the freaking Steam page. If we really want to see some requirements, we'd go to Steam. We wouldn't go to Warner Brothers page to find that out. That didn't help us at all. That gives us nothing. And then second off, what's even more ridiculous is the way they put it. They put, the system requirements for minimum settings, which honestly, when I tested the game, it didn't look terrible on minimum, but it wasn't great. You need, first off, it's 720p, it's 30 FPS, and to run that, you need an AMD 7950, which is a pretty dang good graphics card. Now, that in itself is completely laughably awful. That shows you right there how bad of a port this is. For any of you noobs out there or newer people who just don't know about PC gaming, a 7950 is a pretty dang good card. It's one of the upper end AMD cards from the 2012-2013 era. And you're saying that, this card can only run it at 720p, 30 FPS. First off, 720p is ridiculous. We are not 2008 people. Every PC gamer runs games at 1080p. So is Xbox One, so is PS4. They all upscale at 1080p. No one wants to play at 720p. Are you kidding me? This is not 2007. Second off, 30 FPS, I already talked about that. It's absolutely ridiculous in itself. Third off, the fact that you need a 7950 just shows you how bad of a port this is. I mean, look at the other games. The Witcher, Dying Light. These are Warner Brother games. Look at other games. I don't know. Let's talk about Far Cry 4. Assassin's Creed Rogue. These are games that look beautiful. A lot heck of a better than a console does. And these games easily run on a PC in medium to high settings with a 7950. You could probably run those games on Ultra for that matter. You could run those games on Ultra settings. That's what's even more hypocritical and ridiculous about this. Is the way they just... They're like, this is what you need for minimum to play at 720p. That's what makes me peed off. 720p. No one plays 720p anymore. So no one plays at 30 FPS. And to say you need a 7950 just shows that this port was completely not even thought about. This was just like a last second moment that Warner Bros. Was like, oh crap, we need a PC port. Let's put this crappy 12-unit dev on it. Let's make them do the game. And they obviously can't do it in time. They're getting pressured and pushed to put this game out. So they're doing the best they can, but they can't do any better about it. So basically, they make a really crappy port. So the next level is obviously normal settings, which they said you need at least a NVIDIA 760. So that would be technically what I have, even though it doesn't run. Second off, a 760, and then it says, hint, first off, if you have an AMD card, you're screwed because there's texture pop-ins at normal settings. Second off, if you actually do run it at normal settings, this is what a console equivalent is. So you're telling me that to run normal settings, you need a high-end graphics card, and that only looks like a console. Because a console, normally on a PC game, is low to medium settings on a PC game. But in this game, it's normal settings on a high-end graphics card. Are you kidding me? That right there just shows how bad of a port this is. It's just terrible. It's absolutely ludicrous. It's atrocious just how bad of a port this is. Because, I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 was a bad port. 4, excuse me. 5 was a great port. But Grand Theft Auto 4 was a good port, but at least it ran on pretty much any computer you wanted it to. Assassin's Creed Unity was a bad port, but you can still run it on a 760 at medium settings at 1080p and get probably 30 to 60 frames out of it. I mean, it's just ludicrous. And then the last one was even more hilarious, was ultra settings, Which, first off, there's no ultra settings. Ultra settings don't even exist in the game file. So I don't even know where the heck the ultra is even coming from. Second off, that you need a high end, probably it was a 980, I think it was a 980. That's like a $500 graphics card to run this game. Are you kidding me right now? You shouldn't need a 980 to run a game at 1080p 30 frames a second. 1080p 30, not 1080p 60, not 4K. You have to play at 1080p 60 to run. 1080p 30 is ultra settings. It's just ludicrous. It's just absolutely atrocious. It's just, I can't understand what went through Warner Brothers' mind when they decided to make this game and to make this port and to make these requirements. And I don't understand what's going through the 12 guys' heads when they decided that the minimum requirements are like basically medium settings that are basically a high-end graphics card to run it. So I guess in short term, to me, this was basically a copy and paste from the PS4 version, and by a terrible development team that had no idea what they were doing. They were pressured into putting this game out in a hurry, and it was a undermanned team, probably working all night, were rushing to the last moment, and now it's just completely disastrous. So short term, I guess my answer is if you own Arkham Knight, please return it. Please return the game. I'm telling you right now, do not buy this game, particularly on PC. Actually, I would, if I were you, I wouldn't buy it intentionally, even if you own it on PS4, even though it runs fine on there. Just don't buy this game, because this game is awful. It is terrible. It's an awful game. It doesn't run. Developers were lying about it. They were deceiving the public about how well it runs on any computer. So if you have a PC, if you can, return the game ASAP. Otherwise, if you're on a console, I would prefer you don't buy it either. So, yes, basically, it's just sad. This is just sad, basically, to me, in my opinion. But basically, I'm going to sum this up for you, because you probably don't want to listen to 22 minutes of me talking. Summary for you guys. First off, don't buy this game. It's garbage. Don't buy it on a PC. I'd rather not buy it on a PS4 unless you have to. Second off, Rockstar, not Rockstar, what am I talking about? Rocksteady, NVIDIA, and Warner Bros. Are flat liars. Number 3, this is severely undermanned. Number 4, no one tests this game. And number 5, good job making it. Basically, every PC fanboy hates you. Anyway, I just want to thank you all for watching. So basically, we're not going to have a game come out here anytime soon. That's for this game, and I'm not planning to play this for a long time. So thanks for watching. Please rate, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We will probably have some more Saints Row 4 coming out. So see you later. Thanks for watching this tyrant of a video, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day, everybody.